Right, folks, I'm going to have a quick run through today's session, just running through how I create this visual using a combination of Photoshop and Sketchup. So, to kick things off, I've created a new file and I've imported all of the Sketchup exports into this. So just running through this lot, I've got one with I've labeled them as well, so you can tell which ones they are. So we have edges, sections. So this is a section plane with my edges on, with nothing else on. I've got just the shadows and the section. I've got the standard shading layer without edges. And I've got a couple of kind of textural, kind of grungy textures for some background. And then I've also got a wireframe there that I'm going to use as well. So this image, utilizes all of those, and it's just the question is, I suppose what I've done here, I've kicked it off and I've got everything in the right order. So I've done it once before, so I now know what order to do things on. So I'm not going to have to change the order of my layers around. So first up, I've turned all my layers on. I'm going to utilize my blending mode. I'm going to set this to multiply. And what that's going to do is going to change the white value in these images, or some of these images, into transparent. So white becomes transparent, black is solid, and then grey is somewhere in between. So edges on top, and I'm going to have that down to multiply. And it's a new file. I re-rendered this one. It's a little bit off, so I'm going to just stretch that a little bit. So I'm going to go to my Control T and stretch that out a touch. Let's have a zoom into this corner here, just to get these lined up perfectly. So that's lined up there. How is it on the other side? Oh, something funny's going on there. There we go. That's better. Let's press Enter to OK that. And I'm going to stretch it a little bit further this way again. So transform that. Zooming in. Spacebar hand tool to pull that across. There we go. That should line up that side. Double check the other side. Wonderful. Press Enter to OK that. So I've got that working. That's good. Now we want to see through this. So the section, shadow section, I'm going to again set to multiply, and that should show me my shading section through that. So my shading layer is just the shadow. I'll show you individually. So it's the shadows from the SketchUp render. Not the shadows. So the textures show their different orientational render, if you would. So you get it's all the same color, but in SketchUp, because it's facing a different way, that's in the dark side, so it's a little bit darker. And so that, in combination with the shadows and the edges, gives us a kind of a full SketchUp view. So what next? We've got so next up I'm going to take this shading layer. I'm going to drop the opacity a touch. I'm just going to knock off those two texture levels. I just want to see the wireframe at the moment. I just want to gauge how much wireframe I want to see. So that's my wireframe. So I've got the wireframe for everything. I don't need it everywhere. I'd like to see kind of some solid objects over here drifting through. It's a bit more wireframe on this side. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to use the masking tool to mask out some of the information that we don't need at this time. So set the layer that you want to mask off. Hit the little Japanese flag at the bottom. Let's just pull it in shot. One sec. Okay, now we should be able to see the little quick mask button here. So we apply quick mask. And that should mask our layer out. It's working a little bit slow, this. So we currently have a white mask, which means that everything is visible. On the left hand side, I'm going to grab the black background color picker there. If you press X on the keyboard, it switches these two around, so X becomes my foreground color. I'm going to choose my paintbrush. I've got quite a large paintbrush at the moment, which is great. Yeah, you can change the size of the brush with the kind of square arrows that are next to the P symbol on the keyboard. Okay, so now making sure that I'm going to paint into my white layer, I'm just going to paint out on my mask layer there. I'm going to paint out what I don't need. Okay. Okay, so that's okay. What we can do is, if you want to get a little bit of a finer control over this, you can drop the opacity down, and we can drop the flow down of this brush and switch it back to white. So we're going to paint white over this black here and just fill this in. So just to give you that a little something there. I can switch the colours around, so I'm just switching that around. So that's black. Pop this up a bit. I just want to hide some of this out. And switch back, just to add a little bit of detail through there. Just a smidge. And then a little bit down here. This is okay. Change the opacity up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so that's, I've got my kind of transparent wireframe showing through my rendered work there. Now let's have a look at our kind of grungy shading. So again, I'm going to flick through. I'm going to have a look at multiply. You can press like the down arrow, and that will guide you through all the blending options there. Just have a play with it. Just run through them all until you find one that suits your look that you're going for. I think I'm going to go back to my multiply, drop the opacity a little bit more there. Okay. So we just get a hint showing through, so it lightens and softens the image. Okay, next up, how to use a selection. Okay, how to grab a selection and use that for my render. So my mask, sorry. So I'm going to just have a look. Let's look through these. Let's just turn that off for a moment. I'll put this back up. Okay, so what I'd like to do is just grab my magic wand, and I'm going to change my tolerance to 1. Okay, so what I did in class today, I turned contiguous off. Let's just click out here to cancel that. Magic wand tool, contiguous is on. That selects one kind of continuous piece of selection. Then holding down Shift, I can add to these selections. So that's what I was using this morning. But quickly notice that if you take contiguous off and select, it selects everything within that color range. So I imagine that daylight is coming from this side, and I've got my shadows coming out here behind us. So this face is going to be lit up with a tolerance of 1. Watch out for that one. If you use more than 1, it selects a lot more. So I wanted to use this as my selection for one of my masking layers. So I was thinking, okay, so I'll show you what I did. So I've made my selection, magic wand, tolerance 1, contiguous off. I've selected this face, which gives me the light face with the sun shining. Turn the layer off. Add your grunge layer, open your grunge layer, make sure you select that grunge layer. So that's selected, eyeballs on, hit the mask button, and we have all this lot. It's quite nice like that actually. And then we can start to open up, add on our new layers. It's looking great. Oh, something's going on here. Okay, so let's move this one up. Let's pop it in there and let's drop some opacity on that. Okay. Okay. So that was hiding behind this other layer. So my shading section layer didn't have any see-through capabilities. I think before it was like 46%, wasn't it? So we can, let's make it 46%. Let me switch those back. I get a bit more yellow coming through. It's a bit warmer. And put my wireframe on. Looking good. I quite like it like that. It's looking really good actually. I may just keep it like that. If you wanted to add the whole texture all everywhere, we can just turn it on. And I'm really happy with that actually. That's really good. Now, there's a little trick I wanted to show you, which was how to switch around your mask layer. So what we need to do, let's just knock some of these layers off. So knock some of this off. Okay. So this lot. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to press Control and click on this mask here. So my mask for my sun highlights, if you would. So hit Control, clicks on this, it selects everything that's selected on this. It works well, same for selecting on any mask, like that mask will select the same or selecting object. So clicking Control on this one. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. There we go, so let's bang this up a bit. Okay, so I've got this selected, but I don't want to use the same selection on this one. I want to use the inverse of this. So I want to select the opposite of it. So to do that, I can hit Shift Control I, and that will select the inverse of that. And you'll notice that the marching line of ants now goes around the edge of the border. We can then hit Quick Mask. It'll chop those out. So I can then load the other one up and we can control these individually. So that gives me a little bit more control over how we affect our daylight. So it's just a touch so that's just a touch. So you can control them individually like that. There we go. I quite like it when it's a bit yellower like that there. Good. Okay, how's that? I hope you had fun with that. I'll see if I can post the files online so they'll be beneath the video and you can download them at any time. Have fun.